You know, the Gecko in the mix with Breach and Brimstone still play with. Deadlock also in the mix as well. Like, it just feels like one of those compositions that feels pretty balanced, you know, in terms of, you know, what they have for both offensive and defensive weapons.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to fight responsively, and you can already see the immediate mid-aggression coming out here as they look for that top.
Okay, Slace, Bob, all pushing forward, and Wada did not expect that. A little bit split, a little bit stuck. I don't know how else to say it outside of they just didn't expect that.
I think that this approach from FlyQuest on defense to throw in, sure, it's pistol round, right? So you can get a little bit wacky with it, but even when the gun rounds do come through, I think this is something where we can expect FlyQuest to throw in a few of these set plays. Obviously, they're not going to do it all of the time because Wada can eventually, you know, read into it. But it works really nicely because when you look at the Wada.com, they don't have nearly as much of that utility to throw in response to any flashes, any crowd control that's coming out from the side of FlyQuest. They're definitely starting to think about the combo.
Well, a little bit of a power pickup here for Power Pixel. They're going to go into the Marshall and try to stop some of this early aggression, but yeah, it's just another one of those suffocating approaches that, to be fair, has been largely well received, and no way. Two members just kind of stay away from the stack at B main. It's just classics, and the last 2v2 goes the way of the pistols against the Stingers and Spectres that were flooding in towards B main.
Yeah, Wada already immediately prepared from that look on the side of FlyQuest, and that's a tough round to be losing. You start off that pistol round in such a strong fashion, but for Wada to just clean things up there makes it a really comfortable third round for them. And for FlyQuest, it does look like they will still look for some of that aggression over towards that A extremity. Not quite as telegraphed, though, as before.
Yeah. And with just Sheriffs here, again, the eco flip will lead into Wada's advantage for sure. And I think there's just one of those, like, what I'm really curious about with this FlyQuest composition is the level of aggression versus the level of stable control they're trying to play around this deadlock. Because, you know, when we've seen this map in the past, when you're running deadlock, it's usually a double sentinel and the defense becomes almost uncrackable. This is going to feel different because it looks like FlyQuest want to try to play with some of that open aggression, that open tempo, and try to, like, stop Wada from getting any early stack ups towards either of the two sites. But when you play aggressive on one side and passive on another, holes start to open up. Fem, good for the first, has Bob stuck in the corner. Paranoia is going to come through. Although able to stay around for a moment of assistance before eventually Lovely's just going to have to back up and try to play up towards top heaven. 40 seconds on the clock, and the shock dart will chip some damage as well.
Yeah, not something I can really expect out from FlyQuest in that round as they get a quick little cleanup there, but I like the conversation that we're having here about that kind of push and pull, right? I think the expectation is that when you are running that solo deadlock and you're not pairing it with a Cypher, with a Vice, there is going to be a lot more responsibility that's placed on Bob's shoulders to try and force Wada into some of those trap plays, whether it's just a Lovely's like set up there with the deadlock utility or trap plays that you're seeing Ev trying to facilitate there as well. Yeah. There is a lot of that stall opportunity with this team because you do have the double molly as well within that Brimstone and the Gecko, which is why I think that they do feel a bit more confident and comfortable with running just the deadlock into this. A lot of opportunities to do a little bit of that innovating and seeing how they want to stall things out here on defense.
Well, and I like this too, just kind of on the other side here for Wada, although Starbound, they're going to get taken down for first blood trying to play behind that barrier mesh. I was going to say, they're just trying to feel things out and see, you know, is there any early aggression? You saw the recon dart be tossed early over towards A. Aldrone still being held down to by Power Pixel, as Tree is the next muse of entry for some of this play over towards A, but the lurk from Juna is shut down, and that may just put this round a bit more out of contest. Now, with that told, Paranoia and a follow-up looks good. Thea's in trouble inside the site, stuck in a corner. Help is on the way, but it's going to be labored. Nice, though. The molly at the front door allows Thea to at least isolate onto one. Almost gets a second. Flash out and over for both players, and both will land. Ev able to connect onto the headshot, though, has power by themselves.
Yeah, not too much Power Pixel is going to be able to do here, right? Sure, the 1v1 is given. Bob's going to clean that one up, and a quick even up over to 2-2, but okay, this is where things are going to start to get a little bit interesting, right? Wada, they've got that opportunity to cycle up into getting that operator online here for Starbound. That's just such a big part of the game plan here. When they had that chamber up, is going to be looking for these opportunities to make picks, whether it's over towards typically mid or one of the extremities, holding for some of that aggression that we're expecting out from FlyQuest, right? And I think that's why it kind of like pairs well into almost like an ante of the game plan that FlyQuest do lean for, because they are kind of forced to play that push and pull to make the most out of that deadlock setup.
Well, the interesting thing kind of about this here, outside of the deadlock, is how they have put the utility together in this round with just the sensor over the middle of the map to try to keep mid-market somewhat held without having to pick against the operator. And again, like for Wada, I won't say again it's one-dimensional, but you know what you're going to get, you know, with this chamber. You know you're going to be getting a lot of sniper gameplay when you're in full purchase, so you just don't overpeak anything. Nice angle there from Ev. Maybe an opportunity for more as, well, the fault line finished off with the flash point will allow a secondary peek from Thea. And yeah, there we go. Nice shutdown here from the A defense. FlyQuest.
Try and equalize those numbers there. The classic right click coming out here as well, and Wada just end up getting picked apart. It gets a bit awkward when it comes down to the fights into those close chokes, especially when you have that operator trying to push in. And that's a free pickup here. Now Bob's going to feel very comfortable on that Yoru, being able to take control of one of the mains would be the expectation, or even maybe a deeper mid peak. We know that Bob, she has this preference. She likes to make that push like over towards like the mid stairs, just underneath of catwalk there by tree, and then take that angle over on tiles. And it works out really well, right? Because with that Yoru, you do have that ability to TP out, and it's actually
Bob can try to take the scope battle early through mid. Backed away. Reveal is out. Hunter's Fury comes the direction of Blaze, and there's just nowhere to go. So, again, that isolation through mid works out nicely here for the offensive Wada. But, again, outside of the fact that you have the tour de force, there's not a lot of other kill potential on the map, but you might not need it. Starbound hits a second, and we've got a 5v3.
So prepared for the reposition that was coming out from Bob, right? That is kind of the bonus of that Yoru, that we kind of missed the smoke. That's okay. It happens. It happens, but it's going to force FlyQuest to have to give up that mid control, and a great pivot for Wada over towards that B site.
Dimensional drift out for Fem. Flash over into mid market, putting some pressure on Thea to try to stay into this mid connector, but we'll back away. Defense trying to rotate over. Again, the weapons are still not necessarily great for Wada, but someone's going to have to connect here for the side of FlyQuest, and no one will. Just out of Thea, last one left, stuck at mid-market, and, you know, there is a consideration of saving here, but... Oh, wait, how did... What?
They stepped. No, they stepped.
Are we sure? Okay.
I swear to God, because that was on the head, and if not, like, that is... You got to roll it back.
Definitely looked like it was going to connect for an instant between the eyes headshot, but yeah, it looks like Thea is just going to try to back away here. Power Pixel in the way. Potential pinch. Yeah, there you go. From the backside from Australis, and Power Pixel will get the window, and a thrifty, flawless thrifty comes through here for Wada, thanks to the tour de force play for Starbound mostly.
Hey, well, this is what we expected, right? We expected this matchup to be a close one. We're getting that right out of the gate. It's round for round, pound for pound between FlyQuest and Wada here for map number 1. And, man, honestly, thinking back, maybe it wasn't even a step. That could have also been like a little chip through the ground there.
Could have been.
A little bit of a wall bang moment. But overall, looking over at FlyQuest now, they've also ramped up into quite a few ultimates that they get to work with into this round. That's part of why you do see the force coming out. Bob's going to go for some of that early scouting, and the follow-up.
Great fault line coming through. Annihilation going to try to push in, and it will actually connect down to one. Power Pixel stuck. Aftershock. Well played. And that's going to work out nicely for FlyQuest, as Fem will only find one in response. Australis trying to battle because you just have to. That has to be your LMO. And here we go. FlyQuest Red once again just playing with a little bit of tempo. This time it takes 2 ultimates, though, to win out that battle.
Really nice set play coming out from them, just getting that information, ensuring that the lines were well met when it came down to the utility that Ev was going to have to throw to help the team win out on those fights. And it seems like we said that, okay, maybe they might change things up round for round. Yes, there have been a couple of quieter, more passive rounds from FlyQuest, but for the most part, they've been pretty hyper-aggressive on defense, and I do think maybe part of that is trying to make it so that Starbound can't get quite as comfortable getting onto those sight lines and trying to get those initials.
Well, snap back. Brimstone ult comes through. That was supposed to be combined with the grav net, and everything gets avoided. So another little attempt at playing a contact trap play at B main. This time fended off thanks to the power of the teleport abilities from Wada. Barrier mesh is down, but in a spot where honestly it can be deleted for free if they choose to. So minute 10 on the clock here, and Wada, instead of trying to play through that barrier mesh, is just going to take a look to see if they can find any information over towards A. Good aftershock. Will actually pull Pixel out of the owl drone, so not a lot of intel in terms of what's actually in front.
So far, quite an investment coming out from FlyQuest as well, just to do a little bit of that searching, and a pound-for-pound pick here coming out by both operators on either side. And with the wall being dropped over towards that B site, that rotation having been pulled over towards A and mid so early on, Wada have the read. They're shifting on over, but FlyQuest, they're also quick to respond themselves.
Yeah, and I think the thing about this is, like, I like the idea from FlyQuest of you stop the play towards B main, you stop the Aldrin, you're looking to catch someone off towards street, and then you get a follow-up peek behind that. But before we get into the details of why that play was decent to start, we need to follow up with, as that barrier mesh at B falls, here comes the hit for Wada. Molly, a mere inconvenience, as Juno will get onto site for the plant. Rolling Thunder, does it stop the plant? It does, but now you need the picks, and Starbound is still popping off at a range. Spike gets planted, and Bob is not interested in losing this operator.
No, this is honestly done and dusted. So I'm going to kind of like move on from this. The expectation is Bob is going to look for that save, but Shift, this was an expensive round from FlyQuest. Like, they use that Brimstone ultimate orbital strike right off the bat outside of B main. Sure, you get like the deep barrier mesh like you were talking about. It denies the extremity and makes it really difficult for Wada to insert on some sort of lurk. But I felt like I was very surprised that we had like the Thrash being invested over towards mid just purely for that scouting when you had a whiff of that A main information, and then the Rolling Thunder on top of that as well. It seemed like they were all kind of, the idea was there, but there was just not much of a follow-up off of the utility that they were investing in there with the ultimates.
Yeah, kind of going backwards to it, like, again, like how that round, at least in my mind, like unfolds as fortunately we have some time to actually talk about it with this timeout. You know, you do get this little bout of, you're trying to trap play over towards B main, right? They're trying to set up the grab net, you're trying to set up the orbital strike with that. Doesn't work. Two players that would have been caught just teleport out, no big deal. Now, after that play happens, the barrier mesh blocks off the play towards B main. Then you get a read that there's an owl drone kind of passively towards A main. You aftershock it out of play, so there's no intel from the front door at A. The only other place that FlyQuest could possibly be is at tree. So I think there's a level of, we're trying to get the op in play, trying to find some action towards mid to get an opening pick. So why not call the Thrash out? And if there's someone there, then you get the instant detain, you should have an instant pick. But FlyQuest are just holding back. And you're right, there is a level of, that was a very expensive round that doesn't come through for FlyQuest Red. And now, even though it is a 4-4 count, FlyQuest Red is not being able to pull off their game plan as much as I think they would like, outside of half of their rounds being trap plays that had worked out successfully, one of which called for an annihilation. Like, it's been expensive right now for FlyQuest, and I think the patience from Wada has FlyQuest a little bit, laborious in terms of how they want to play this defensive side.
And it does seem like Wada are also anteing it very well as well. I don't know if it's as much of kind of just like already having done some of that homework as far as looking at how FlyQuest have been handling the defense, or if it's just quick calling during the mid round to make the adjustments that are necessary. But I like the ideas that FlyQuest are coming and bringing to the table with. On defense right now, it's just more about, I think, some of that spacing as well to try and make the most of those investments.
Well, again, early barrier mesh at B main. It'll just be Fem who's hanging around. Owl drone just getting a passive look over towards mid and short at A. Really nothing to be scouted, though, so not a lot of intel to work with. Gate crash back to try to join the party here is Wada, at least initially. But again, it's just this moment of just trying to cause confusion, but FlyQuest has got to be feeling pretty comfortable with where they are defensively right now.
They do, but they also only have one more smoke to work with, right? I do like that fault line that comes out. It allows Thea to do a bit of a shoulder check over towards A main, see how much presence is really there, sees that it's empty. You can see that they're starting to pull back from that presence now, right? The read is the expectation that there might be that contact up into this operator that Bob is holding.
Yeah, the barrier mesh is down, and Wada, oh, they actually get a reveal from the recon. Both Steel Garden going to come through. That's just to try to slow down this play. Touch for the defense to work their way back in. But honestly, I don't know if anyone's actually affected by that. Good grab net coming through by a Lovely. But is it enough to actually give Bob a chance? Sure seems that way. First shot lands. Paranoia on the way in. Blinds Bob for a moment. Shakes it off. And he follow-up almost, but Juna with the headshot. Starbound again playing through main. Finds a follow-up. Spike now going down. Pixel will get that successfully. But FlyQuest is finding the eliminations on the retake and the contest, leaving Astralis by themselves. First one good. Two more playing together. The Molly going to force the action, but they line up! Oh no! And wanted to steal away one with the 1v3 Red Bull clutch.
What a way for Astralis to take that round back. I had my eyes on her positioning over towards Switch the entire time, hiding in that smoke and just finding the perfect timing, but a round to slip out of the hands of FlyQuest. They did so much to buy time for Bob on site there as well, because there was the investment from that Steel Garden coming out from Juna. That operator was taken out of her hands, but just enough stall occurred. And now, if FlyQuest, they're on the back foot. They're forced into an eco. Sure, we always say we can't count out the game changer shares, right?
That's
like
true.
This round could still be anybody's round, but it does feel like, despite the high octane type of like defense moments that we're seeing from FlyQuest, that Wada are the ones somewhat carrying that momentum right now.
Decoy comes out with the flash from the Yoru. Gives a, wow, pretty aggressive check from FlyQuest. They don't see anything though at main, and look at the rush. Just going to fully commit to trying to stack up over towards A and mid. Now with the sheer wall down at B main, it would lead you to believe that Wada are preferring the play at A. And honestly, you want to talk about game changer sheriffs? You're going to get a bit of a firing squad here for FlyQuest, and they've already cleared out tree.
Having this tree control is incredibly important for this. You look at the position for the potential backstab.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Grab net slows things down. The gate crash into the site by Fem only gets one. Spike is now down. Mosh to block the doors. You have a lurk, though, from Juna. It's being watched, kind of. A couple of weapons have been collected. There's one for free. Starbound connects again. How pivotal has Starbound been? Gives him a chance, but nope. It's game changer. Sheriff's TM added to the shop. 5-5 the count through 10.
Guys, I'm just saying, if anyone is listening, we really need that championship skin. I'm just saying, GC champs, we need the sheriff skin coming hot, because it's rounds like that that make it happen here in GC. It's such like an iconic moment. And now it's just like, okay, we had that time, the chance where, you know, FlyQuest were on that back foot. Wada were trying to find like the lead into this, and again, everything just gets evened up so quickly.
This has been a really fun game of chess here in this first half. Different look for FlyQuest this time. Small weapon advantage. Two ops though in play for Wada that need to be, I would say, just kind of raise an eyebrow at that. Or at least, sorry, an op and a marshal, not two ops, two scopes, is what I meant to say. So we'll see what we can get out of that. But for FlyQuest, they've got B main control. They've got the Gecko stalling out action over towards tree. Gate crash back after the Euro shows presence, but the defense still rooted in what they have to set up right here.
Counterplay as well, right? Bob, at least he can get one. The trade does come through. Still aggressing forward.
This is bold. It isn't perfectly timed, but it still works out for FlyQuest. And now, yep, you've got the walk through A long. So this is a trap play now. All of a sudden, that Wada need to win this battle from the front now. They need to win it right now. Whoa.
No.
Okay.
The investment out from the Annihilation.
Right there.
Then to get picked off, like, yeah, they cleaned it up afterwards. But it did get a little dicey for a second. It definitely makes you catch your breath. But the ebb and flow has been nice to see on both teams. The change in tempo here as well. But now you look at the tools that we have to work with here, right? The investment from that operator coming out from Starbound was no surprise because you have the tool to false available into this round. And I'm expecting maybe that wombo combo coming out between Femboy and Power Pixel with the Hunter's Fury and that Dimensional Drift here as well.
Well, it's Dimensional Drift's at the ready for both teams. Barrier Mesh comes through. That will block things off. Hunter's Fury is out. Pings from Fem, trying to find connection, but the defense stays fully healthy through it. Now you got the flash out, but Ev shuts it down. Rolling Thunder out. That's going to be used to stall off this offensive play. You've got an early flank on the way from Ev as well. Pardon me, from Thea. And Wada are stuck. That is just a beautiful response from FlyQuest Red. Knowing what was coming, getting the opening pick is crucial, but most importantly, the barrier mesh stalls out the rest of the hit. And the pinch is quick from Thea, perfectly responded to by FlyQuest.
Really nicely done there. There was so much, I think, lying on the shoulders of that combination between that Dimensional Drift and the Hunter's Fury. And honestly, I was pretty surprised to see Femboy even pop out of that ult in that round, taking that 1v2 on site. But now we're swapping sides, right? Things are going to get reset a little bit. And I'm very interested to see what the approach is going to be. I think that it's going to have some similarities, not as high octane of fights coming out from the defense of Wada, but you do expect that defensive side aggression, right? We're expecting Starbound to walk out on some of these angles, find those early picks here, just not as much utility that can support as that flag.
Hunter does what it's intended to do by name. Teleport back, no worries. Australis still holding out of the paranoia. Smoke will come through. Barrier mesh to block off market, but Starbound still holding strongly over towards backside sidewalk and stairs with Pixel working with the frenzy. And they will isolate once again. FlyQuest able to get over towards the switch, but not finding a lot of conviction in terms of getting onto site itself. Starbound has been dominating for Wada on this chamber. You can definitely see why they prefer it. As a Lovely will try to finesse with the Ghost for a 1v3.
Wada are going to have to make some mistakes here, right? Trying to bait out, find some sort of 1v1, but the double swings are going to be expected. Not even biting on that front.
Well, you get one, you know you have another week, but the right click from Australis shuts down the play. Decent effort, little NT in the chat there for Lovely, but the pistol goes the way of Wada, and it keeps us in this very back and forth affair. I mean, no more than what feels like 2 rounds for either of the two teams up until FlyQuest was able to find 3 in a row, obviously. Timeline would give you that information. But this has been a heck of a battle, and with a couple of eliminations from the last round for FlyQuest, they will get a couple of sheriffs into play.
I did like the approach from FlyQuest there. I think the way that they're layering that utility to try and manage both lane and stairs with the stuns coming out there from Ev were really nice. But Pixel honestly got really lucky. I think they were, like flashed and stunned at one point and managing to get that pick.
Yeah.
But now the response here. FlyQuest, with Thea going down so early on, things slow down quite a bit. It's going to be a lot more difficult when your smokes are out of the picture so early on into this eco round.
Yeah, Starbound just, again, a lot of first bloods for free at the moment. Whether it be the Headhunter or one of many different scopes that they can play with. Juna, teamwork, but deals with the 1v2. And Starbound, saw the weapon swap from earlier at A main and decides just to keep the hot hand push up, and the flawless round is tallied for Wada, now forming up what will be a true bonus round here in 15.
Man, honestly, I don't know about you. I love seeing Starbound back on the chamber. I know it's such like an unconventional pick within the current meta. I do think that the meta is really healthy right now for Sentinels as well. Like you can see a lot of variety just depending on how a team wants to approach the game and how they want to call into these rounds. But you know, Starbound is one of the Game Changers players who was so well known for this chamber gameplay, but Bob's already in the site. Like they're W keying.
A lot of flashes here, but the spray down that tree for Australis does connect to get us what is, I'm going to feel like, a very fortunate 4v4 for Wada. Now the issue is going to be you have an Ares, a Bulldog, a Spectre, and the Outlaw, and only a couple of shots for the Headhunter. So it's going to be difficult to try to break through against rifles. And some decent utility still to come. Lovely. Finding good timing here off of what was a bounce pass from a shock dart. Arcro is not really able to do too much from Juna. And I think the efforts of trying to get back into this 2v3 is going to be in, well, not vain necessarily, but it's going to feel very impossible with the time ticking away.
Yeah, there isn't too much you can do here. There's just really nice stall there. You've also got, you know, the trips coming out from the deadlock into the post plant as well. And even though a Lovely does end up falling, it just ends up buying so much of that time into the early portion of that post plant. It makes it so much more daunting to drop from any spaces, especially over towards heaven there on A. But now this is where we're going to look towards Wada to be able to try and equalize back up. They're back into a buy. You've got the tool to false available here for Starbound as well. Odin online for Power Pixel. There's still, despite the reinforcements on these walls, angles to try and get some of those wall bangs down.
Yeah. Nice opening shot. Mid-market has been kind of electively given up, but FlyQuest still going to force the issue. A deep paranoia cuts through mid, gives Pixel a chance to kind of hold in towards the back, but the Sky Smoke plus the Molly falls in, and now it's just about what can Juna do from the back of the site. Good flash coming through, but Juna has avoided a lot of this utility and given a chance for Wada to still to contest from the front. This is a bold play for Lovely. Trying to find timing, but no. Steps into the 1v2, and both members will fall. We stay deadlocked at 8-8.
We're in for a long day, aren't we, Shift?
This has been a matchup, Ash. This has been fun.
It really has been. I think just these changes in tempo that we're seeing from both of these teams, the layers of utility that are coming into a lot of these gunfights, and it also gets just very scrappy on top of the set plays that we're seeing as well, with how responsive both these teams can be, with the fact that you both have the flashes that are coming from Yoru. Of course, FlyQuest, they have even more to work with when you're looking at the Breach and the Gecko here as well, but very telegraphed hit here towards the A site. Oh, that's a great
well, here we go. Pressure at the front door. Defense not stressing yet. Gatecrash comes out. Aftershock's going to force Fem into a weird spot. Australis, the next one. Bob just spamming, eventually able to connect. 5v4. It's going to be a weapon collection here on what could be a post play. And Bob actually gets the spray down through the floor as well. So now you have to try to retake. 5v3, sure, but you have an Odin, an operator, and your only rifle is on the Vice. And whoa, Bob? Bit of a mistake right there. Now you can swap one of these weapons for a rifle if you even want it. Rolling Thunder going to come through. 3v3. Just pistols left. It's all a stall tactic. Power Pixel continuing just to spray down into hell. Shots, though, not landing. Thea now backing up. The rest of the squad trying to give some separation. Nice moment there from Ev, but wow. How about the quick swap from Starbound? Op shot hits. Headhunter, or pardon me, Sheriff hits. And you're going to get a 9th round for Wada.
My ultimate's ready.
Trying to buy as much time as possible there. Everyone grouping up over towards Switch and Gen as well makes it a lot more awkward, I think, for FlyQuest to hold into the remainder of that post plant after there was so much investment when you saw the Rolling Thunder coming out there from Ev to add to that additional delay. But back to even playing ground when you're looking at the weapons that we get to work with for Wada. We do have a great ult in Juna for that Steel Garden to either deny a push and slow that down, or even for the retake on Wadada's end.
Again, quick utility action at the front door ZA. Wadada going to give up this space for now. Look for spam, and it works again. You know, it's just one of those things that.
It's one of those days, man.
What do you say? Like, it's just you spam, you get a headshot, you get a first blood. Like that's it.
Look at this positioning though. We do have the late wrap coming in here for Thea outside of tree. Why are we not ready for it though? All about the timing now.
Now it's gonna be Steel Garden now. FlyQuest gonna be a little bit limited here. The timing. Good, but the flash actually hits that blindside. Wasn't intended to, but it still works out. Thea with the weapon back could have caused some deterrence on this retake. Doesn't look like it. And Wadada's going to get their 10th, only dropping 1 in the process.
Man, the Steel Garden coming out at the perfect time to deny any value coming out from Thea, who was hoping to at the very least get 1 or draw some of those eyes of Wadada away, which it did pan out in that sense, but the rest of FlyQuest unable to buy enough time on site, and right now the defense for Wada is looking clinical. FlyQuest have only been able to find 1 round so far on attack. This is their 2nd timeout that's being called here as well. They won't have any others to work with, and Wada have been carrying the momentum so far since we've swapped sides.
Yeah, they really have, and you know, this is a round coming up here that FlyQuest, you're struggling to get the ultimates that you need, through the first 3 rounds. That's the biggest part about it. Like, Dimensional Drift has not been there. Rolling Thunder's a million years away. You're still 2 off of a Thrash. Like, it's just, you have a lot of round-winning ultimates here for FlyQuest, but so far through how this half has gone, you really haven't had a chance to get them online in a way that you would have liked. So, this is a pretty pivotal upcoming round here, because you're going to be dealing against a Hunter's Fury. Fem's going to have another Dimensional Drift before we get to, really even the conversation point of a comeback if you do get to 12-8 or even 11-8 for that matter. So this is a crucial round, crucial decision to come up here for FlyQuest in terms of how do you really get closer to these ults, because you don't think that, winning this round is going to be all that probable with just Sheriffs into the face of an Operator and an Odin, but typical Ascent Op Odin problems are starting to occur here, and that's not good news for FlyQuest.
No, it definitely isn't. Maybe the game plan here for FlyQuest would be even to try and rack up a couple more of those ult points there for some of the ults that could get cycled up into their next buy round. You do have opportunity in Lace and Thea, but instead they look to invest in Bob over towards A main. Starbound has yet to be pushed off the angle.
Oh, timing with the Dizzy bouncing off the wall is actually pretty critical. Wingman will come through. Another orb is collected. Starbound misses again. Juna, wow, really good Razor Vine, but still gets traded. It's going to be a weapon opportunity to be collected, but we're getting sprayed. We're getting sprayed through mid-market. It's just Ascent, Odin, antics. You've seen it. You maybe love it, maybe you hate it, but you've at least seen it. You know what to expect, and this round has come to an end, probably.
B main may have been reinforced, but the rest of the walls on Ascent are definitely still paper thin, that's for sure. And right now, FlyQuest are just fully boxed in, right? There isn't much that Ev is going to be able to do here. Not even going to get a pick. Just going to be a quick cleanup here for Wada. But this is not the round that we're really having our eyes on here for FlyQuest off the back of that timeout, right? This is where we're going to expect to see the adjustment coming in. And I think that right now it's kind of difficult because we're not seeing them take these rounds incredibly slowly. Like, it does feel like the hits tend to be very telegraphed with the utility that's being thrown down there. We're not seeing moments of trying to maybe bait out Juno's wall early on that allows for a lot of that passive information and hold and comfortability to stack on the opposite side there as well.
It's just tough because Starbound's nearly double positive. One shot lands and she is. They are. And there's a level of, again, this is what Wada does. You just put Starbound on what is essentially just a sniper simulator. And Power Pixel also connects with Hunter's Fury, so matters become a little bit worse here. And this is a round that I was going to say before it got going that FlyQuest have to win. And so now you've got an Orbital Strike and an Annihilation. There's a chance here to still hold this. This Annihilation has to hit, and I don't think it does. If it does, it's gotten deleted. GravNet is down. A Lovely is going to drop, and it's really on to what Ebb can do from the bottom of the site. There's the first. Can you get a second? No. Baited out by the teleport from Australis. Orbital Strike's going to come in, but you have no Molly to follow up. It's already to halfway, and Thea is going to say, I'm not going to spend it. They're going to chalk the round and try to get something going in comeback form, but money's not going to be great, and that's a tough one there for FlyQuest.
Yeah, it just isn't worthwhile to invest into that Orbital Strike there, and now hitting match point on Wadada's map pick. There's a reason why they felt really confident going into Ascent, even knowing that they'd be starting out on the attacking side first there. And I think a big thing, too, is we talked about how much utility is available in the kits here for the composition of FlyQuest Red. And while they're telegraphing their hits so loudly, they're also not forcing Wada to use too much of their lethal early on either. So they also end up having so much that they can fight back into these sites with, which is why we're seeing so much success on those retakes. Starbound's been very flexible with their positioning with this action.
Nice. Again, Starbound has been untested, and that is one of those things, like, it just, this has been part of the byproduct of the matchups that they've had prior. This is Starbound just playing Chamber on a scope simulator. That's all it is. Follow-up kill from Fem likely puts this map out of reach. Unless Thea and Bob can do something miraculous. May as well use the orbital strike. You can't save it. But dimensional drift is out. And Thea is going to be in trouble. There's the blind side. Here's the push. And that's the full flawless cleanup. Really good defensive half from Wada. FlyQuest throw out a couple of, I think, really cool options and some cool looks on their